Hello everyone, you're watching Planet Earth, and today we're going to talk about the Atlantic Ocean, the second largest and second deepest ocean on our planet. Think for a moment, and so many facts come to mind, it's hard to count them all. Columbus discovered America. He was a great sailor. He sailed across the Atlantic and made it. The Titanic sailed but didn't make it, also in the Atlantic. The Bermuda Triangle, it seems to be in the Atlantic too. Atlantis, the name sounds similar, so it must be there. There's a lot more, but let's save it for later, maybe tomorrow. For now, let's try to break it all down, see what's true, get some details, but not go overboard so we don't fall asleep, and still learn enough to impress others with our unmatched intellect. Let's go. The Atlantic Ocean is the second largest and second deepest ocean on Earth after the Pacific Ocean. It is located between Greenland and Iceland in the north, Europe and Africa to the east, North and South America to the west, and Antarctica to the south. Its area is nearly 100 million square kilometers. To be exact, 91.66 million square kilometers, of which about 16% is made up of seas, gulfs, and straits. The volume of water is 329.66 million cubic kilometers, which is 25% of the volume of the world ocean. The average depth is 3,736 meters, and the deepest point is 8,742 meters, the Puerto Rico Trench, located on the border of the Caribbean Sea. The average annual salinity of the ocean is about 35 parts per thousand. Per mille means 1,000th of something, so there are 35 grams of salt in 1 kilogram of water. Why a kilogram? Because a liter of water can weigh differently depending on temperature and other factors. So, thanks to these per mille, the Atlantic Ocean is the saltiest of all oceans. Per mille aside, let's move on. The boundary with the Indian Ocean runs along the meridian from Cape Agulhas to the coast of Antarctica. The boundary with the Pacific Ocean runs from Cape Horn, or the shortest distance from South America to the Antarctic Peninsula, through the Drake Passage, more precisely from Isla Hoste to Cape Sterneck. The boundary with the Arctic Ocean runs through the eastern entrance of Hudson Strait, then through Davis Strait, and along the coast of Greenland to Cape Brewster, then to Cape Gerpier, then to the Faroe Islands, then the Shetland Islands, and the coast of the Scandinavian Peninsula. As for land boundaries, to the west are North and South America, to the east are Africa and Eurasia, to the north is the Arctic, and to the south is Antarctica. The area of seas, gulfs, and straits in the Atlantic Ocean is 14.69 million square kilometers, and the volume is 29.47 million cubic kilometers. There are 16 recognized seas in the Atlantic Ocean. Again, it's second to the Pacific. They include the Irish Sea, North Sea, Norwegian Sea, Baltic Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Balearic Sea, Ligurian Sea, Tyrrhenian Sea, Adriatic Sea, Ionian Sea, Aegean Sea, Sea of Marmara, Black Sea, Azov Sea, Alboran Sea, Risser-Larsen Sea, Lazarev Sea, Weddell Sea, Scotia Sea, Caribbean Sea, Sargasso Sea, Labrador Sea, Erminger Sea, Celtic Sea, Iroese Sea, and the Wadden Sea off the coast of the Netherlands. That makes 26. And what's with the Cotton Sea? Let's figure it out. Turns out some seas are part of other seas. For example, within the Mediterranean Sea are the Adriatic, Alboran, Balearic, Ionian, Cypriot, Cretan, Levantine, Libyan, Ligurian, Tyrrhenian, and Aegean seas. The Black and Azov seas are also part of its basin. So scientists, as usual, simplify things and group seas within seas. And the Wadden Sea, it's not cotton, but a chain of shallow marine areas off the coasts of the Netherlands, Germany, and Denmark, part of the North Sea, enclosed by the Frisian Islands. Now about gulfs. The Atlantic has a very indented coastline, so there are countless gulfs. Let's stick to the big and important ones. The Gulf of Guinea off the west coast of Africa, the Bay of Biscay off western France, Hudson Bay in Canada, the world's largest bay at 4,041,400 square kilometers, the Bay of Fundy in the USA, which has the world's highest tidal range, average spring tide between 14.5 to 16.3 meters, and the Gulf of St. Lawrence, the world's largest estuary. What? An estuary? Yes, an estuary is a river mouth flooded by seawater, the opposite of a delta, which splits into several branches. Check out our video on rivers for more. Moving on, islands in the Atlantic Ocean? There are quite a few. The most significant include Greenland, the world's largest island, 2,130,800 square kilometers, Great Britain, which includes England, Scotland and Wales, Newfoundland, a region of Canada, Iceland, not to be confused with Ireland, Cuba, and of course the Bermuda, Azores, Canary, Falkland and Faroe Islands. And then there's a concept called Macaronesia. Sounds like hydrangea or magnesia, but no. Macaronesia is a modern geographic term for 5 volcanic archipelagos: the Azores, Canary Islands, Cape Verde, Madeira, and the Savage Islands, located off the west coast of Africa in the North Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean borders 65 countries on 4 continents, 15 in Europe, 27 in Africa, 11 in South America, and 12 in North America. The ocean floor of the Atlantic is considered the youngest and most level. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge runs from north to south over 18,000 kilometers. Along the ridge is a rift system where the largest volcanic island, Iceland, formed. Depths of 3,000 to 6,000 meters dominate. Unlike the Pacific, the Atlantic has few deep-sea trenches. The deepest is the Puerto Rico Trench, 8,742 meters in the Caribbean Sea. The continental shelf is well developed, especially in the northern hemisphere, off the coasts of North America and Europe. The Atlantic spans nearly all climate zones. This gives it a diverse climate. Over Iceland forms a low-pressure area called the Icelandic Low. Dominant winds, trade winds in tropical and subequatorial zones, westerlies in temperate zones. The Atlantic also has ocean currents that carry thermal energy. 2 current systems form, clockwise in the northern hemisphere and counterclockwise in the southern. In tropical latitudes, trade winds create strong surface currents from east to west. The north and south equatorial currents. These warm the eastern coasts of the Americas. The powerful warm Gulf Stream, meaning current from the Gulf, begins in the Gulf of Mexico and reaches the Novaya Zemlya Islands. It carries 80 times more water than all Earth's rivers combined. Its depth reaches 700 to 800 meters. Water temperature can reach plus 28 degrees Celsius. North of 40 degrees north, the Gulf Stream turns toward Europe and is called the North Atlantic Current. The current is warmer than surrounding waters, so warm, moist air masses form cyclones above it. Thanks to this, Europe stays warm. But if the current weakens or stops, a scenario scientists consider, winter coats won't help. Cold currents also exist. The Canary and Benguela currents cool Africa's western coast. The Labrador current cools the east coast of North America. The Brazilian current warms the eastern coast of South America. Currents also move icebergs, massive chunks of ice formed in the Arctic and Antarctic when shelves or glaciers break off. Some are small, others are the size of islands. The biggest recorded iceberg is a 68, formed in 2017 from the Larsen Ice Shelf. It covered 4,200 square kilometers, twice the size of Moscow, and is now drifting towards South Georgia Island in the South Atlantic. Icebergs are dangerous to ships. The Titanic hit one off Newfoundland, a black iceberg that had recently flipped. Sailors believed black icebergs were omens. Normally icebergs are white because of air bubbles. Black ones may contain rocks and sediment, making them dense and darker. When they flip, the dark side shows. These icebergs are nearly invisible at night and in calm weather. After the Titanic tragedy, 13 countries, including the US, created the International Ice Patrol to warn ships of iceberg dangers. Now some history. Long before the Age of Discovery, the Atlantic was sailed. As early as 4000 BCE, the Phoenicians traded across the Mediterranean. By the 6th century BCE, they had circumnavigated Africa. The Greeks also sailed far, to England, Scandinavia, the Baltic, and West Africa. In the 10th to 11th centuries, Vikings, according to most scholars, crossed the Atlantic and reached America, which they called Vinland, discovering Greenland and Labrador. In the 15th century, Spanish and Portuguese sailors began long voyages seeking routes to India and China. In 1488, Bartolomeo Diaz rounded the Cape of Good Hope. Between 1492 to 1498, Columbus mapped the Caribbean and a large continent later called America. In 1494, Spain and Portugal signed a treaty dividing the New World along the 48 to 49 degrees west meridian, the Papal Meridian. In 1497, Vasco da Gama sailed from Europe to India around Africa. In 1499, Amerigo Vespucci reached Suriname. In 1520, Ferdinand Magellan sailed through the strait now named after him. In the 16th century, ships regularly sailed the Atlantic, transporting gold, silver, gems, pepper, cocoa, sugar, and in return, guns, fabric, alcohol, food, and slaves. Piracy thrived. Names like John Hawkins, Francis Drake, and Henry Morgan became legendary. The southern Atlantic was explored by Russian explorers Bellingshausen and Lazarev in 1820. The Atlantic, being second in size, spans all climate zones, which shapes its plant and animal life. The Gulf Stream also plays a big role. Plants include algae and flowering seagrasses like eelgrass, zostera, and Posidonia. Posidonia oceanica forms vast underwater meadows in the Mediterranean. One colony is 700 kilometers wide and 8 kilometers long and around 100,000 years old. The Atlantic has huge biodiversity, around 200,000 species, including 15,000 fish, 600 cephalopods, and 100 marine mammals. It's an important fishery. Herring, sardine, cod, perch, flounder, lobsters, crabs, shrimp, oysters, mussels, squid, and cuttlefish are caught. Open ocean life depends on phytoplankton and zooplankton, microscopic drifting organisms eaten by small crustaceans and larvae, which in turn are eaten by bigger animals. Whales, sharks, tuna, dolphins, swordfish, and birds. In deep-sea plains with little mixing of surface and deep waters, no phytoplankton grows, forming ocean deserts. Flying fish, 16 species, lay eggs on floating objects, even trash. The harmless sunfish is often mistaken for a shark because of its dorsal fin. There are dangerous sharks too: longfin, mako, blue, gray, hammerheads, great white shark, all risky to humans, so swim only where it's safe or learn to outswim them. Who hasn't heard of the Bermuda Triangle, a zone in the Sargasso Sea, yes, the Atlantic again, where ships and planes supposedly vanish mysteriously? It's defined by points in Miami, Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. The area is tricky for navigation. Shallow waters, storms, and cyclones. Some say it's weather, others say UFOs or Atlantis. Skeptics say ships disappear here no more than elsewhere. Despite iceberg dangers, humans treat nature even worse. The Atlantic has been heavily fished and whaled for centuries. The invention of the harpoon gun nearly wiped out whales by the 19th century. Now there's plastic. A huge garbage patch floats in the Sargasso Sea. The Mediterranean near Italy has the world's highest concentration of microplastics, 1.9 million pieces per square meter, mostly synthetic fibers and fragments. But the biggest disaster was the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010. 5 million barrels of crude spilled into the Gulf of Mexico, polluting 1,100 miles of coastline. The Atlantic plays a crucial economic role: transport, communication, fishing, mineral resources, energy, recreation. Let's hope humanity starts giving back, not just dumping plastic and oil. Everything on Earth is connected. Caring for nature today benefits future generations. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share. See you next time on Planet Earth.